Good evening. Welcome to Washington. I'm Brett Baer. Iran is keeping up its end of the bargain in its nuclear deal with the U.S. and its allies, or maybe it's not. We are getting mixed messages tonight from the Trump administration, but one thing is certain. The agreed-upon sanctions relief for Iran is no longer a done deal. Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen has tonight's top story.
In a letter to House Speaker Paul Ryan, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson certified Iran is meeting the terms of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, better known as the Iran nuclear deal. Yet Tillerson also announced the National Security Council will lead an interagency review of the JCPOA and indicated the U.S. has little interest in allowing the deal, as presently configured, to remain in effect.
It really does not achieve the objective. It is another example of buying off a power who has nuclear ambitions. We buy them off for a short period of time, and then someone has to deal with it later. We just don't see that that's a prudent way to be dealing with Iran, certainly not in the context of all of their other disruptive activities.
At the White House, a spokesman for President Trump voiced skepticism that Iran is complying with the JCPOA.
Is the president concerned that Iran may be cheating?
That's why he's asking for this review. I think that if he thought everything was fine, he would have just, allowed this to move forward. I think he's doing the prudent thing by asking for a review of the current deal.
Finalized between the U.S., Iran, and 5 other world powers, the JCPOA imposed time-limited curbs on Iran's nuclear program, along with enhanced inspections, in exchange for tens of billions in sanctions relief. Physicist David Albright, the former UN weapons inspector who is now head of the Institute for Science and International Security in Washington, urges the Trump administration to be tougher in evaluating Iranian compliance than the Obama administration was.
Iran is doing things in the implementation of the JCPOA largely not reported by the International Atomic Energy Agency. Let's say produce more heavy water than it really should be, to run more advanced centrifuges than they should be allowed to, or manufacture more centrifuge rotors than they should be able to do. So each one of those is, I would argue, is not a material breach of the JCPOA, but it is incremental cheating on the deal.
Whatever the Iran review accomplishes, Defense Secretary James Mattis, traveling in Saudi Arabia, made clear the U.S. remains alarmed by Iran's support for terrorism, its expanding ballistic missile arsenal, and its support for the Assad regime in Syria and Shiite rebels in Yemen.
Everywhere you look, if there's trouble in the region, you find Iran. So we will make progress on this. The international community will make progress on it.
As a candidate, Donald Trump stopped short of saying he would rip up the Iran deal, instead vowing to, quote, police it so tough the Iranians wouldn't have a chance. Today's comments by Secretary of State Tillerson, Brett, suggest that there is no degree of compliance that the Iranians could demonstrate with this deal that would convince the U.S. to keep it in place.
Okay, James, thank you.